Welcome back, Broncos Country. Mile High Monsters back with you. It is so good to see you all again. Joining me, as always, is NFL expert and my good friend Colum Cronin, all the way from Dublin, Denver. Dublin, Denver. It should be called Dublin, Denver, with you living there. Dublin, Ireland. Colum, how are you? Smiley? What's going on over there?
Not too shabby. We are into March, and the great hope on this side of the Atlantic, Mike, is that it might stop raining because we are looking at having to build an ark if it doesn't. And the animals went in 2 by 2. I think there are quite a few positions that the Broncos could add 2 and 2 more to
I think you're right.
this off season.
I think you're right. The Broncos, great season, 14-3. Doesn't mean they're not changing things. There are big changes already happening, and there's going to be more. I guess I'd like to just start off just kind of running down, like right after the season, they fire Lombardi, our offensive coordinator. They also got rid of their defensive back coach, Kerry Colbert, our wide receiver coach, right? Is that Kerry Colbert? Did I get that right?
The wide receiver coach who had some weird kind of thumb technique, and given the amount of drops we had, I think suffice to say that did not work.
I think it was I think it was definitely time for him to go. Now, obviously, the big news would be Davis Webb will be the OC, and the even bigger news is that Sean Payton finally decided that he would give up play calling duties and hand them over to Davis. I think we'll get into that a little bit. I think we need to. John Morton came in. He was OC for Detroit last year. He was a one and done there, which was kind of strange. I'm not sure what happened there. I don't have any insight on what happened in Detroit, but I mean, I thought that they at times looked like they had a pretty explosive offense going on over there. Now, it was Kerry Colbert, and it was Addison Lynch was the other one I was trying to think of, the defensive back coach. So a lot of miscommunication in the backfield, defensive backfield last year, Colum. So Sean Payton, even at 14-3, getting to the AFC game, arguably, with no Bo, we don't really know what that game would have looked like. Well, I think we've already talked about that, and we don't need to talk about it again. But Sean and maybe George weren't happy with some things going on in that building, and felt like they needed to improve in not just in the players, but even in the coaching staff. Do you have any big thoughts? Anything move the needle? Obviously, Davis Webb's the big one.
Yeah, you like to see some changes. I think it's always good to freshen things up. Some of those changes were obviously enforced with guys moving on. We played a little swapsy with Buffalo on a few of those, and Sean has brought some of his buddies back in. I think, certainly in terms of the Lions and what happened there, I'd love to get the full story on that, and we don't have that yet. Because as you said, they had some big moments at times early in the season last year. But yet Dan Campbell made the decision to take back play calling duties. Quite only about halfway through the season. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there, and I'm sure in the fullness of time it might come out. Obviously, moving on from Ben Johnson, things can change or will change, right? We saw that, say, with the Eagles when they lost 2 coordinators, and the following season they ended up, having not such a great year. And I think part of that is when you lose, particularly somebody like Ben Johnson, who was so creative and really the heart of what they did there, and you brought somebody in, it was always going to be tough for Morton to go in there and replicate. Ben Johnson is a pretty unique character in all sorts of different ways, and I think whoever went in was going to find it difficult, unless Bill Walsh could be regenerated somehow, and maybe that may have worked, but it was always going to be difficult. But Sean brought him back in, and he will be part of the system along with Davis Webb. On the defensive side of things, obviously, there are some changes there. It'll be interesting to see what exactly that looks like. I thought when we've discussed that, the defense was very interesting because it started off so hot last year, kind of took dips, bounced back a little bit. At like the Buffalo game was kind of a microcosm of the entire season, right? Yeah. Because at times they looked absolutely brutal, and they couldn't do anything. They couldn't stop the Bills, and other times they made enormous plays. And obviously, J-Mac coming up with that interception that, I don't know if you've seen that, the NFL confirming that was the correct call, which we all knew. I think changing it up is good. I think obviously the big piece is around the play calling, and that's what, got the headline attention, and has divided the fan base a little bit. I've seen people, very, very excited about Davis Webb, and equally I've seen people quite concerned about Sean Payton deciding to move on. We are not going to know until the season starts. That is the reality of it. And it's all fun. It's great fun to have these debates, but nobody knows, because the other piece that is quite interesting, Michael Carmelini, is the Broncos moved off of an OC a few years ago who Broncos country would have had you believe was, if only we had kept Rich Scangarello, we would be better than the 2013 Broncos.
Oh no.
Rich Scangarello is an agent now. He's an agent. He's not even coaching anymore. So suffice to say, no one knows. What I would put stock in is the fact that Sean Payton made this decision. Now, I've heard some chatter. I didn't see it myself, but I had people mention it to me that apparently some people, or there's some talk that that the ownership group had put pressure on Sean. No one. It wouldn't have, even if they did, I don't believe they did for a second, but even if they did, it wouldn't have mattered. Okay. God himself, or whatever deity you choose to believe in, or maybe even could come down and talk to Sean, and Sean wouldn't care. Patrick Smythe can't control Sean Payton. And if Patrick Smythe can't control you, you are uncontrollable. So Sean Payton made that decision himself. I think that is quite telling. I don't think he had to do it if he didn't want to do it. Look at the season. You talked about it yourself. If he hadn't lost Bo Nix, he was taking the team to the Super Bowl. Would they have won the Super Bowl? Probably not. But the seasons he's had in Denver and rebuilding off the back of moving off of Russell Wilson, really impressive. He is totally in the black. He holds all the aces. It was his call. He's choosing to do it. So I think that's where I'm going to stand on it. Does that mean Davis Webb will be a success? No. But I do think that it was Sean Payton's decision, that he took it in the offseason, that it's not a knee-jerk reaction to anything in particular. Again, in the last game the Broncos played with a proper QB, we beat the Bills, right? We scored over 30 points. We beat the Bills. So again, it wasn't like Sean was coming off of a season where this team went, only won 5 or 6 or 7 games, couldn't move the football or anything like that. Yeah, the run game was horrid, and we can get into that at times when Dobbins went down. But aside from that, right, that was the major issue. There were definitely quibbles, I think, particularly in the red zone at times. But I just find it really interesting that Sean Payton is a guy who knows more about who's forgotten more about the offense than you and I or anyone watching this will ever know. I remember Ollie Connolly doing a piece about Peyton, and he talked about how big Peyton's playbook is, right, in comparison to most people. So, again, he is in the pantheon of great offensive minds, right? And he made the call to take a step back himself. That's very interesting, and what he said in the press conference, and I say this, I always say this, one, take everything is said publicly with a grain of salt. But it would appear that he had been mulling upon this for a little bit, and we had seen it last offseason, right? He allowed Davis Webb to call plays during a preseason game. So this, again, has been in the works for some time. I think that makes it interesting. So I don't think people should overreact in either which direction.
I agree with you. 62-year-old hands off to a 31-year-old. He did give hints to this for sure earlier. He was talking about with all the experience that he had and all the successes and failures that he had, the older you get, you don't necessarily get more conservative. But your thought process starts to make you more conservative because you start worrying about the things that could go wrong instead of attacking. He said these, something to that effect earlier. And the other part about that column is he I talked about this about 2 weeks ago when I said that we didn't know, but before we knew whether Sean was actually going to do it, I said I thought he would probably do it because Davis Webb had offers for full control of other teams' offense, and so if he was bringing him back, I assumed that was going to be part of the deal. But I also went with the fact that I think you're right. I think Sean was looking at himself and the team and trying to get better in any way it could. And I think that he does feel like another benefit to this will be his ability to, monitor the whole game and the game management type stuff that is harder to do when you're trying to get the plays in. I know there was some friction between Bo and coach last year about getting the plays in on time. Sean was kind of overthinking himself maybe, but his play design doesn't seem to be an issue. So I tend to lean towards this possibly being a good thing. I would like to point out that, and I had this written down before, I don't have it with me, but I think the most yards the Broncos ever gained in a game, was 568 yards in a game. It was Peyton Manning. I don't remember against who. When Davis Webb called that preseason game, they got 562. They only got 6 yards less. So, it's preseason, so maybe it's not the same. You're not going to let me get away with that.
Cardinals are not a real football team.
You're not going to let me get away with that, right? Okay. I have a question from a listener, Gary. This one's for you. Do you think the Broncos will bring back J.K. Dobbins? And if Aaron Jones is released from the Vikings, would they try to bring him on a minimum vet salary? What are your thoughts on? I kind of look at those two players exactly the same. They're both old, or one's really older, and one I guess I'm not really sure how old Aaron Jones is, but I feel like he's older. But JK with the foot, where are you at on JK? And would you be interested in Aaron Jones if he was released from the Vikings as like an RB2 backup, something? I don't know. What do you think?
J.K. Dobbins is incredibly talented. He is gifted runner. There is no question about that. J.K. Dobbins has never once played a full season, and I do not see how you can bring him back as RB1 when you know that he is not going to play the full season. I wish that wasn't the case. If you could rely on J.K. Dobbins, he might well be the best rusher in the league at the moment. You know, he is absolutely fantastic in terms of his average, right? In the seasons that he has actually kind of had a decent number of attempts, right? So he's had 3 years where he's gone over 100 carries, and so he had 6 yards per attempt, 4.6 and 5 this season. So all the ability in the world, but he just doesn't. I don't see how you can do it. How can you bring him back as RB1 when you know he's going to go down? And so what do you do? Do you lean on him early in the season and know that he's going to break down, or do you try bringing somebody young in, bringing him in, using him in that way? But could that come back to bite you? And we talked about this, about, I suppose, the insurance policy that the Seahawks had. They had 2 running backs, but I'd be very worried about bringing him in as RB1 because I just don't see, and I wish it was different. I wish it was, because I truly believe in his ability. But even towards Mike, he said he was going to be back sooner than the Super Bowl. That was all the talk that he put that out there himself, right? That's not media reports. He put that out there, but it didn't happen. So I don't see how you can do it. I get why Broncos country are such big fans of him. I get why there might be people who want to do it, but availability is the best ability, and he just doesn't have that.
Yeah, he would definitely be brought in if he comes back on a vet minimum with incentives. But I think they would have to be bringing in another running back to be the bell cow. Any thoughts on Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones, I suppose, at this point in his career, I don't know how much he has left. I mean, been around a long time. He's 31 now, which in running back years is considerable. If you were bringing him in as RB2, I could live with that. But at the same time, what's he going to look for, and who's your RB1? But you are talking about a guy who he carries the football. I mean, this is a guy who has in all but one of his seasons in the league has gone over 100 carries, and he averages, like, I mean, he is on the wane. There's no doubt about that, right? The last time he went over 5 yards per carry in a season is 2022. Since then, it has been 4.6, 4.5, and 4.2. That's still very solid, and my goodness, we would have loved that last year. But the reality is that he is going to be 32 next season. Again, I don't see how you hang your hat on him as RB1, but as RB2, depending on what he's looking for, yeah, why not?
Yeah, Aaron, I think he missed. I think he had a hamstring or a hip or something. He only played like 12 games last season. Isn't that something? Doesn't that sound familiar to you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be a fan of it. For Gary, thanks for the question, first of all, and for listening. One running back with injury issues like that is enough for me, or too many for me, probably. But if they brought JK back, and brought in ETN or Dowdle or Algier or someone else, then maybe it makes sense to me. But probably not two running backs with injuries, and 31-year-old Aaron Jones is probably a no for me. Before I ask you, I want to talk about a couple player movements that we've had with the Broncos too, but I do want to ask you about a potential move before I ask you about the moves that we've made. And the one I'm talking about, of course, is Alex Singleton. It was reported that he was the priority signing for the Broncos, from basically Broncos spokesperson Mike Kliss, who put this out. First of all, your thoughts on bringing back Alex Singleton. I also would like to comment on what you alluded to earlier before I forget. The media outlet that put out that ridiculous take is a local outlet. And when I saw that tweet, I can't remember what it was. What did you say earlier that you were like, I can't believe that somebody would even say this?
Well, that was the piece about like ownership putting pressure on Sean Payton?
Exactly. Like when I saw that, I think I like, you write LOL when you text somebody sometimes. Like I did literally laugh out loud at that. Like Peyton does not answer to really anyone, and anybody who thinks differently is smoking something better than me, because that is absolutely the most ridiculous thing. Like he's running the show. I mean, he is. I think I guess in almost everything he probably has final say, even though it's said that he doesn't. What are your thoughts? Speaking of having final say, somebody said they want Alex Singleton back. What's weird about this one to me, though, Colum, first of all, that he's a free agent. Like, do they really want him back? And why would he be the priority for the Broncos? I guess I don't. I've never been an Alex hater. There are a lot of them out there. I believe he was one of, if not the weakest player on our defense in a lot of games last year and over the last few seasons. I think the inside linebacker position is probably one of the ones that need to be improved the most, or that need improvement more than others, certainly on the defensive side of the ball. So I was a little shocked when I saw that they wanted him back, and B, that it was their priority offseason signing was to bring him back. Certainly, when you've got John Franklin Meyer out there, who would I would think would be a much more responsible, important piece to bring back. So, thoughts on Alex, if you have any?
Look, I think the reality is JFM is too expensive, and that is why he's not coming back. Everything about him and the way others speak about him is so telling about what a great guy he is. I think we'd love to see him back. I know I certainly would, but he's going to get paid, and he deserves it. I mean, he's been kind of unfortunate in that he's had some really kind of short contracts. He's always showed up, though. I think the only thing I can assume when it comes to bringing Singleton back, and really it's the moves that they make alongside that. Um, I'm assuming that it is for the leadership piece, that there can be intangibles, right, in terms of how these things are kind of made up, and the way certain things work. So maybe that is is part of the reason that they want him back. And I did, he yeah, like I do think there are there it is a problem position, or has been a problem position for us. Dre Greenlaw brings you things, but if you have Singleton and Greenlaw, you it's not the most mobile, and that's a big concern that I would have.
Who played more
um
snaps, Greenlaw or J.K. Dobbins last year?
there Yeah, I mean, that is the concern as well,
Yeah.
obviously, is that Greenlaw is, again, lots and lots
You
of
don't have to
mobility.
look it up. I was just making a point that
I
availability
was,
is,
yeah. Oh
is
yeah, I
important.
agree, but I
Inside
think
linebacker's got to be a big priority for this team
it
anyway.
is. It has to be. And I just I assume if they're bringing thoughts, if they're bringing Singleton back, right, is that they've got to be looking in the draft,
Mhm.
because you've got, massively experienced guys there. Then if that's what you're doing, so it's difficult to see them bringing in another experienced guy there. But like, I mean, I think it's it's not the
He's
it's not
looking
the
for
end of the
$8
world.
million a year.
That's a bit more than I'd like, but again, the cap is going up significantly. I think that there are the it it was undoubtedly a weakness last year, right? Undoubtedly, but it is not the reason we didn't make the Super Bowl.
Of course. Yeah, and the defensive side of the ball, honestly, to me, um, there's enough money that's been spent on that side of the ball for me. I don't know, man. I want playmakers on offense for Bo. We've got a running back room that is in shambles, a tight end room that is one of the worst in the league, and then a wide receiver room that lacks a big time playmaking number one wide receiver. So, but good news is we're bringing back all of our offensive line again, which is handy. Speaking of that, what about Powers? There's been some talk on my shows, and uh, I see a comment here from Cody. Says cut Powers and use that money on one of our own guys that they're about to walk. And so with Palczewski being there, he did a pretty good job last year, and they would get some cap relief from this move. I think it's around $4 million they would save if they cut him. What would you feel about? Oh, by the way, I do want to talk to you about Jaquan McMillan being tendered, and what we're going to do about Moss and Jade. I'm not letting you off the hook on that. I do want to get to that. But what did you think about Cody's comment? But I pretty much agreed with what I was saying. You think Powers could be a potential move to free up a little more cap space? I would like the Broncos to go find a good free agent running back. I know there's a few out there, and they could probably use a little cap space, a little more cap space, which they'll have. What would you feel about Powers hitting the road as a big change?
I do think I could see it happening, and I think that it's I like you, Palczewski came in. I thought he was solid. I think Powers is quite expensive in terms of the cap hit this year for what you're getting, but equally
Mhm.
the dead cap is significant as well, and we've already added void years onto that contract. That's not to say you don't do it, because right now is potentially the time to do it while Bo is still on that rookie deal. But there is still, even this year, significant dead cap in terms of moving off of him. So that would be the concern I would have if we were to do it. But if, as you said, I mean, I think the backup coming in, I don't think it changed that much. I think an awful lot of that is as we saw, was because of Bo Nix and Bo Nix's ability. You put Stidham back there, and that changed. I would say I would not be paying our backup QB anywhere near the money that we were paying our backup QB, because I want my backup QB to be able to at least try and move the football and not make major errors. So that might be a better way to save money. But I get why people are talking about Powers, right? Because it's not like Miners and Miners had some games that weren't as good last year. I thought last year was a bit more up and down. I thought the season before he was kind of more consistent. I thought last year was an interesting one because at times he was absolutely fantastic, and other times I felt he struggled a little bit. But he's in a league above Powers, so I get why people are looking at it. Your tackles are both, obviously Bowles is playing fantastically. I think McGlinchey had a better year last year than he had the year before, which was interesting. But obviously you tied Wattenberg to a contract. So I get when people are looking at what you might do and where you might get savings, Powers is kind of the one that you hone in on. So, but you have to be doing it for the right, to make the right move. But if it is to get some of those offensive weapons that we so desperately need, then I can live with it.
That's the thing. I mean, I guess I'm trying to make space so that we can go out and get help. I mean, obviously no free agent signings yet, no trades or anything have occurred. You can't really, well, we haven't traded. You probably could, but you can't do free agency yet. I don't think that's like 10 days away or so. But we did bring back Jaquan on a second round tender, so it looks like he'll be back. I don't know that I've specifically asked you about this, but another position maybe that we have one too many players in could be the outside cornerback position, where Moss is currently sitting, and Jade Barron, who was our number one hotshot pick from last year, is still riding the bench. So what would your thoughts be on, and I was happy they brought Jaquan back, full disclosure. I was asked if I had to bring Jaquan or Moss back, which would I prefer? I said Jaquan, and thankfully Sean and George saw it that way. What would your thoughts be on maybe trying to get something for Moss, or dare I say Jade Barron, and move on, get something for one of those guys in a player trade or part of a player trade in free agency to get one of these these big running backs that have a chance on getting franchised or tendered or whatever. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, if Jade's not playing next year, it's kind of a bust pick. I mean, it doesn't mean the player's a bust, but I mean, it was a bad pick. I mean, you can't have a first round player riding the bench for a second year.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Stuart and I talked about this on Dublin to Denver a good while ago. The reality is that if George Payton is in situ as general manager in September, and if Barron is on the roster, he has to be starting, right?
Yeah.
That's just a really bad look if he isn't. And I know that there are people out there that are massive advocates of George Payton.
You're not going to go on a George Payton bashing rant, are
not
you?
well. I'm gonna say that I like nothing was happening for George without Sean being around, and I want to see. I think I go back though. I mean, this is a man now. When it comes to cornerbacks, remember this is a man who said,
Okay.
"quote It is more difficult to find a franchise cornerback than a franchise quarterback." So that's an interesting piece. But I think on that, I think they are probably going to potentially look to move Moss. I would. I don't know. I think Barron is fine, but I think I don't think he was ever a top 20 pick. I don't know if he was ever I think it was a big reach, and I think he's very capable, but he was an older prospect. He played a lot. He little bit on the shorter arms. Is that a factor? But I can see them. I think if you tried to move Barron now, right, you're not getting anything back from. But the massive concern I would have is, I think I mentioned this to you previously, is words are words, actions matter. And in the biggest games of the season, he wasn't playing. He did not get snaps, and that speaks to what they actually think of him. And I think it's a concern, but I think that they will look at it, and JMac is you've got him essentially one more year kind of cost controlled, but next year you're going to have to make a decision on him or Moss most likely. So do you try to get something? Do you look at it like Harry Roseman would look at it and say, I got to maximize what I can get back here, and I put Barron in, and I figure that my defense overall is good enough to deal with it. So, but whoever plays opposite of Pat Surtain is going to get picked on more. And we have discussed on this show, right, that the days of the shutdown corner are gone, right?
Yeah.
Revis Island, Champ, taking away the entirety of one half of the field, because the league just doesn't allow you to do that. Doesn't matter how good a cornerback you are, the rules favor the offense so much that you are, no matter how good you are, you're going to get burned. But you're still going to get picked on more. So you got to hope that Barron can take the step up if he's there. But I mean, if you are to move Moss, right, you want to be getting serious offer, because again, this league is attritional. This league has injuries. Barron is cost controlled at the moment, and maybe you just have to see it as sunken cost. Like, if he sits on the bench one more year, you move off of Moss or JMac next year, and you say, look, we've got 2 more years of him at cost control for Barron, and we put him in there. Yeah, it doesn't maximize your 20, but if ownership is happy enough with George Payton, and chances are that we're going to see that very soon, right? If he's given the extension on that, if he gets the extension, then he's got the backing, he's got the blessing to do what he wants. So then maybe they figure, look, we're going to have him as a nice piece that we can drop in where we need, and if a guy gets an injury. But I do think that they'll listen, and if a team was to pick up the phone and make a serious offer, I think they could be very open to moving on from Riley Moss.
I think they would be very open to moving on from Moss for to package in some sort of running back trade. Not necessarily, or maybe a 3-team trade where one team gets this, the other team gets that. Like, I don't see how they can just have a first round pick just hanging out another year. I just don't. I don't know. If we're gonna say that our Super Bowl window's open, then let's play to win the Super Bowl. Let's go get the players that we need to win the Super Bowl. And I know that the future is important, but I mean, next year is the future. And if you keep looking down the road to the next year, then you never win anything. Like at some point, you got to put all your chips in. Like I've got Sean Payton on my screen down there, pushing his chips into the middle of the table is what I think he should be doing. So, all right, that's enough on the defense. Now, running backs. Speaking of George Payton,
yeah,
there's some cryptic thing I got from you. I didn't know what you were talking about. There's something about George Payton on running backs that you wanted to share with Broncos country.
Well, I know. I imagine. I think most people will have seen George's comments, and again, it's always lying season in the NFL, and we have just talked about his comments about quarterbacks, but he made the comments last week, obviously at the combine, where he said, I thought he had a really good year in relation to RJ Harvey for a rookie, and everything that was thrown at him. Dobbins get hurt and he comes in. He's dynamic with the ball in his hands. You saw that at all stages during the season and in big games like Jacksonville and in Buffalo in the playoffs. In Buffalo in the playoffs is that it? Where he averaged 3.3 on a carry. Again, RJ Harvey, ball in his hands, pass catching back, fine. RJ Harvey running back, not so sure about that, but it got better. I thought he improved on first and second down. When did that happen, George? And I think the game slowed down for him as the season went along. Didn't see that, but my favorite line, I couldn't be more happy about RJ. Talk about protesting too much.
Yeah.
Talk about like, oh no, I'm delighted that absolutely fantastic. Couldn't have worked out better. Really, absolutely. No, I know we couldn't move the football against New England, but I'm delighted.
I think it would probably be best if George Payton said as little as possible when he spoke to the media. I get
this
is the team who clearly.
There would be lunatics who'll believe that, who'll actually.
It doesn't matter, but those aren't the people that matter. That's fan speak, and that's great. If the fans get hyped about that, that's great. But the fact of the matter is RJ did not improve on first and second down. Was averaging just over 3 yards a carry, is an explosive weapon out of the backfield, and is a fantastic little player. And it's nice to have him on the team, but he is not an every down running back. He's not running back one. He may never be. And I'm as big a RJ fan as there is, but when George says things like that, he's obviously he obviously thinks he's being smart and like, oh yeah, we're totally sold on this guy so that he can get Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker or ETN or one of these guys cheaper or a little cheaper because they don't think the Broncos are desperate. This is obviously the number one room on the team that needs to be fixed, even over tight end and wide receiver. Would you agree with that statement? Running back is job one, right? Like this is, and I did a show on this a couple weeks ago. It's the one position they can't mess up this year. They have to get it right. Now, your favorite running back, Jaleel McLaughlin, is not coming back. but Tyler Bidet apparently is coming back for some reason. So maybe special teams. I don't know. But I think they need 2 new running backs, one of those free agents, and then I really hope they invest in a good draft pick this year on the running back position. I think we need to double dip on this year. It's just been too long coming. As far as what George said, though, that's just crazy talk. And if it makes some fans sleep better at night, good on them. But I don't think he's fooling anybody. I mean, I've even you can even just read it from like the national draft people and most of the content providers that certainly in Broncos country have identified this is the position that the Broncos desperately need to fix. So yeah, that kind of stuff is just crazy to me. Now you're not a draft guy. Have you looked at any of the draft running backs at all? Like that the Broncos might be interested in? Have you even started peeking at any of that yet? Or are you going to wait and just see what they do?
I've got a seven round mock draft ready to go. I'm glad we're doing the show because this is my platform to announce my movement into the draft space.
Here we go. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well,
I can't wait. I would encourage anyone with any semblance of intelligence to have a look back at some of those draft grades that they like to hand out immediately after the draft. If you want a good chuckle, and we can do it because we're coming off the back of a really good season. Have a look at some of the stuff that was said about some of the draft classes over the last few years. Some crack.
Now there are some good running backs, and we could have gotten a couple. There were a few running backs available to us when we took Jahdae Barron, and I won't forgive Peyton for that. Yeah, I thought that there were some running backs that looked really good in a Broncos uniform this year. But now Jeremiah Love, he's going to be a top pick. But this Jonah Coleman from Washington looks good. And then I saw that who is the kid that just is he from? Is it Mike Washington? Ran a 4.3 at 6'2", 220 or something like that. That looks like a Bronco to me. I'd like to see the Broncos come out of the draft. That's about as deep into the draft as I'm going to get because I have guys that do that, and then I'll bring them on and let them do all the work for us. But there are a few in this, and I would be pretty disappointed if the Broncos don't pick up a running back this year and heavily invest in that room. I asked the guys on the show the other day, which room was more important. If you could only fix one room and you had to leave the others essentially the same, which one would you tear down and rebuild? And everybody essentially said definitely the running back room. So no argument from you, I take it. Like this would help Bo. This would help the passing game. This would help the defense, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just watched a Super Bowl where running back got MVP. I mean, it's incredible. You have to have a bell cow back, and we don't. And my thoughts on the construction of the room, and I don't understand. If there's one thing I don't understand about Sean Payton, it's the absolute addiction to hobbits in the running back room. And can we please move on from that?
I got in trouble for using your hobbit. I did credit you though, but I did get in trouble for that the other day on the show.
In what respect?
Well, the guest on the show is a former college running back and came on to talk about running backs, and I referred to them as hobbits. And he's 5'9", so he's also a hobbit.
Oh, okay.
So if you're watching Struds, you're still a hobbit.
This This is I encourage people to check out Doug Stanhope's Little People piece, which is a really hilarious bit. But essentially, he was taking offense on his own behalf. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So let's do. Let me just run this down here. Let me see what I got saved for you here. So okay. So Jonah Coleman, Jadarian Price, and Mike Washington. The Broncos met with all of them. We hit on the offensive line. We hit on Singleton. There's been some talk about David Montgomery to Denver. I don't want David Montgomery. He's too old. He's too beat up. I don't know why anybody would talk about that. Have you heard any of that talk about Montgomery?
Like that, there's always talk because people are desperate, like
us, desperate for something to talk about.
Look, because we're rolling in the money, yeah. But there are people who are, just it's for clicks and likes, and they put absolute nonsense out there. Like Nathaniel Hackett is going to lead the Broncos to the playoffs, and I don't care. It's someone old takes exposed. It's happening. Yeah, did it happen? Did Nathaniel Hackett lead the Broncos to the playoffs? I don't recall.
I think he didn't quite finish his first season. Now, Underdog NFL, not the biggest site, but not the smallest. After Fowler reported that we had placed a tender on Jaquan, they said that Riley Moss is a trade candidate.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly is. Now, again, it takes two to tango. So will they find somebody willing to hand over?
I don't know how much they really need to hand over. Honestly, I think. What do you? You're just gonna let the Jade Barron just sit there and come in on like 5 plays a game? I just like get anything, get a third rounder for him on a player. I mean, who cares? Like, I just don't care. Like either one of them. I just can't stand that. Luca Evans from I think he's from Denver Post.
Evan.
He's making a name for himself.
He's brilliant.
He is. He's great.
Keep doing what you're doing, kid, because it's good to see someone get under Sean's skin a little bit. I know Sean has kind of taken it as a soft spot for him now, but at least there's one person properly needling Sean,
No, he's not the only one, but he's the only one that I think Sean's actually got a pretty good sense of humor. He's just, it's like when you're with your friends, at the pub and you needle each other or you smack talk, you like playing golf, like me and my friends say the meanest things to each other when we're playing golf together, and our wives don't understand it, but we do. That's just how the world works.
They're your buddies. Sean is not going drinking with the press pack.
No, he's not a big fan of the press.
He just doesn't like them.
But he's got some that he likes. Like, was Luca the one that was the one he asked if you did you ever play linebacker?
Yes.
Yeah. See, my understanding is that was probably in good fun, right? Like he's
I totally think it was. Like, I actually think Sean Payton has a little bit of respect for somebody who's not going to genuflect in front, in the same way that we saw with Bo.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you're good at your job,
Yeah.
Like I think he hates the sneaky stuff, right? In that you saw maybe in the fullness of time it'll come out, but I know that there are stories that Russell Wilson, Sean had put in a play, Russ would say yes, and then Russ would deliberately call a different play, not because he saw something on the defense, but because it was what he wanted to run. So I think if you front up to Sean, there's a grudging respect there. So I think that's what it is, but like there have definitely been some funny moments even over the course of that year with the two.
Yeah, I love it. I can't help it. I feel like I would probably be, after that many years, and then actually being a part of that business and then coming back from it. He probably even has, like, he knows that he knows what they're there for. They're there to get a comment or anything. They're not. They hope to get a rise out of him, for heaven's sake. Oscar comes in. Are we going after running back in free agency or wait till the draft? Oscar, maybe you tuned in a little bit late, or I got to this chat late. I think both. They're definitely looking at the free agent running backs out there right now, and I just now I don't know that they're going to. Nobody knows what they'll do in the draft. I know they're meeting with a lot of running backs. I know that Denver is aware that that's their worst room. I think they do both. I think they'll either bring JK back and draft one, or they'll bring in, maybe they'll shoot for the moon and go for one of the big names out there. And there are some big names still out there. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it's probably going to be both, Oscar. Combine intel. Davis Webb was very involved in Kenyon Sadiq's formal meeting. This is the kind of this is kind of like us doing a show on the 1st of March where it's potluck, or we're just throwing stuff out there and talking about it, see what sticks. Breece Hall, this is all still Luca. Breece Hall would have serious interest in Denver if he hits free agency. Now, I don't know if that was something Breece Hall said.
If he hits free agency.
Yeah. He'll be interested in a lot of teams.
Now,
do you think they're going to franchise him?
I'd have serious interest in Sabrina Carpenter if I ended up single, like, I mean, what?
Do you think the Jets will franchise him, or have they already done that? Because I was just on the road for a week, so I haven't.
They're trying to get a deal done.
Okay.
But he either they get a deal done or he gets the tag. Simple as that. He's the superstar.
Yeah, he could be traded. I mean, he could be up for trade.
Yeah, you tag and trade is certainly possible, but obviously then you're picking up, you're giving up a draft pick plus the contract. So that's the piece that, and depending on what the Jets, but it's got to be such a killer in some ways. Like you think you're finally escaping the Jets, and like, nope, tag on you, buddy. Oh
yeah, he and Walker are both. Probably running back 1 and 2 that could possibly be out there. But you never know what'll happen. Then you'll get into the Dowdle and the ETNs and all those guys. So, it's a long way to the end of that rope, as they like to say. So from the courthouse to the end of the rope. So we're a ways away from that. But hopefully we wake up to a shiny new big time running back in free agency. And speaking of that, the Jets heard the Jets might be interested in taking your backup quarterback off of our hands, with Moog being there. Now this could be good news for you. I think he makes about $7 million a year as a backup quarterback. This could be an underrated. I don't know what the contract situation is with Jared Stidham, but yeah, there's a lot of rumblings, that the Jets may be interested in him. Maybe they'll go after Tua, who would be great if. By the way,
it's crazy to me that we've now seen, Jared Stidham. Right, we've now seen it. It was great fun, right? Stiddy City. Kudos to the Broncos fans for kind of rallying behind them. Yeah, exactly. After the devastation of the Bo news, but now we've seen it, and the idea, Mike, that we are paying $6 million to Jared Stidham to be the backup is because not Sean Payton, not Patrick Smythe. There's no you can't Drew Lock this situation. You can't. There's no creating a PR monster where you can fool anyone into thinking that he's adequate. Like he's not. Like the only people who believe that he might be adequate is the New York Jets, right? Who the only franchise that are somehow worse than the Cardinals, who in turn are the only franchise that is somehow worse than the Browns. But the Jets are the nadir. The Jets are where dreams go to die. You know,
a straight up trade Stidham for Breece Hall. I'm calling it. Who says no?
So somebody out there is going to pick that up. Trade rumor. Make it happen.
I saw
Patrick's like driving to Nebraska.
He hasn't banned me yet. Sean Payton still watches the show, so we'll see if we get a call on the orange phone. Last night, the NFL Combine veteran pass rusher Miller was talking and lobbying Broncos front office members to bring him back to Denver next season. Miller really wants to be a Bronco again. No. I want him to retire a Bronco.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree with you. Mike and I don't always agree, but we thoroughly 100% agree. Want Von to retire a Bronco. Don't want to see back playing as a Bronco.
Doesn't need to do that. I did bring up to you that the Broncos are not tendering Jaleel McLaughlin. Per source, he will be a free agent. So hopefully that's a sign that the Broncos will be revamping that room that I want them to revamp. Now, I do have something for you, Colum, because I thought this is really interesting. First of all, I thought the NFLPA report card thing was not happening anymore. And then there was this leak or whatever, but either way, we have the grades for the Broncos organization this year, and team ownership for the Broncos was the highest in the league with an A+. The first A+ I'd seen for team ownership. I don't know if they were there were some other A's, but I don't know. I like to think that we're the best owned team now. Now
there were others.
There were others. Okay. Don't pee on my parade. Don't just because it's rained.
We are
6 weeks of rain and six. Yeah. You've got 6 months of rain in 6 weeks, but don't rain on my parade. All the way from Dublin, Ireland. Now it's interesting. A's for all the coaches except for maybe
the head coach.
So head coach with a B. Now,
that's guess what?
I think it's a good thing. Okay, because we have not talked about this. Okay,
no, we haven't. Your parent, right? Your coach is like
I want him
your
to
parent
be a B.
shouldn't be your best friend because right, players are like teenagers. Okay, you should not be best friends with your 13, 14, 15-year-old kid. They need ground rules. They need boundaries. They need you to tell them no, to give them a kick up the ass when they need it. Like that's what a head coach is supposed to do. Like who came out on top? Who came out on top overall?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
I don't.
So okay. So you don't know who came out. Okay, if I was to tell you this team came out on top for the last 3 years, would you have any idea who it might be?
Oh, it's probably going to be somebody who like rarely practices his team very hard and really treats his players, gives them days off. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea who it's
the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins came out for a third consecutive year. They ranked
music
first
and girls for everybody.
Like these report cards they're a bit of fun. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Sure.
But like that's, I mean, again, you know, if everyone's having fun, you know. The Dolphins celebrated when they got rid of Fangio because training was tough.
He was a hard ass. Yeah,
Fangio shouldn't be a head coach, but his defense coordinator. Happy days. Look, it's ridiculous. The ownership is probably, is a telling one, right? Because the Broncos are in the A+ category. The lowest is the Cardinals, Kels Breeze. After that, you have the Steelers are there this year, right? But
That surprised me when I saw that. Yeah, that like a lot of their grades were bad.
I think what you're seeing though is the Steelers are not like they are that old Chris Rock joke about the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Shaq is rich. The guy who signs Shaq's check is wealthy. The Steelers are rich, but they now exist in an NFL where owners are wealthy, and it's very difficult for them to compete. The Bucks are there, unsurprisingly, because the Glazers are terrible owners, and the Bengals are down there, along with the Browns and the Titans. Both got C's as owners. So that's kind of where people are living. Chiefs very unhappy about last year. Their grades for ownership and around locker room and treatment of families was down, which was interesting. Big fans of Andy Reid, but yeah, have a bit of fun with it, certainly. But
someone earned an F-. And I'm trying to remember. I should have made a note of that. I just kind of looked at this stuff.
Oh, which head coach?
I don't think it was a head coach, but like someone got an F-. I don't know if it was the what staff it was or what coach it was or facilities it was, but like, it was literally like how do you even get an F-? Like they just hated it. It was embarrassing. And
well, the Cardinals ownership got an F.
Okay. I think maybe somebody put a F-, something, and I just read it as F-.
They are. It's possible, but the Cardinals are just
GM report cards. So yeah, these names make sense to me, I guess, for the most part. Now, Omar Khan got a C+, which I thought was interesting, and I see a D+. Although I wonder if this is all the GMs. I guess it is. Howie Rossman. Is it Roseman? Howie Rossman.
Howie Roseman.
So Philadelphia, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. B. That's a long dash. This is where I got the F. Okay, it was this tweet. So there's short dashes and long dashes, and then I confused the two. There's an A-, and so you got to look for two dashes. So like Ryan Poles and Nick Casario and these guys are A-, so they're okay. I expected the Broncos to have like a locker room would be low, and all that, but all that stuff's gonna be brand new. Is it starting maybe not quite this season, but it'll all be ready by the next season, coming up, their new training facilities. So I don't know when the completion date is for all that, but maybe those grades will go up. Here's a great comment from Tom Pelissero, though. Biggest offseason need, they don't have any glaring needs. Like
who does
Tom Pelissero said on video right here in front of me. I'm not going to play it for you. They just need to continue balance things out on defense. This is a person who must not have watched one single Broncos game this year. That's why I have to be careful about national media. As much as I like Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, that's a batshit crazy statement. We do have glaring needs, Tom, like very much so glaring needs. So thought that was interesting. And I know how much you love the media, so I thought you'd like to hear that take.
Wow. Somebody bought him a nice steak dinner.
Somebody should have. Guys, I think we're gonna did we cover everything? I think made a note here. I just want to make
I
sure I
think we
got
did.
good. Okay. So good news. We've got a new wide receiver coach. We'll see how Ronald Curry works out. Hopefully we won't have the second most drops in the season. If that happens again, maybe the Broncos will quit saying how much they love the room that they have. But make sure you're listening and subscribing to the Dublin to Denver podcast with Mr. Colum Cronin and Stuart Roach. Roach. Stuart
Roach.
I'm mispronouncing names today. I got in. I went to bed at 6:30 this morning, and I got up 4 hours later. So I'm a little out of sorts. So thank you to all of you that watch. If it's your first time here, please like and subscribe. Love to have you back, and we'd love to see you in the chat. And I think that's about it. This is what the offseason looks like until after free agency signings. There's just not a whole lot. We'll be a little bit all over the map. We'll talk a little bit about everything. So when we get some real news, we'll be back. If not, I'm on with Colum on most Saturdays or Sundays, and I'm on with David every Thursday. So thanks again for watching. From Mile High Monsters, I'm Mike, and I will see you guys real soon. Take care.